Hello everyone and welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. We begin in France, where a French court has sentenced a former rebel leader and politician from the Democratic Republic of Congo to 30 years in jail after finding him guilty of complicity in crimes against humanity more than 2 decades ago. Roger Lumbala headed a rebel movement backed by neighboring Uganda, accused of committing atrocities during a period known as the Second Congo War. The judge said the 67-year-old was found guilty of ordering or aiding and abetting torture and inhumane crimes, summary executions, rape constituting torture, sexual slavery, forced labor, and theft. Mr. Lumbala, who was living in France when he was arrested nearly 5 years ago, has refused to accept the legitimacy of the court in Paris. He did not attend the trial, which began last month, though he was in the dock to hear the verdict on Monday. Several years later, the Congolese government issued an arrest warrant for him over his alleged support for the M23, a rebel group currently active in the eastern DR Congo, prompting him to flee to France. We now turn our focus to a developing diplomatic and security standoff in West Africa, a standoff that directly affects the shifting power dynamics of the Sahel region. On December 8, 2025, a Nigerian Air Force C-130 military transport aircraft carrying 11 Nigerian soldiers made an emergency landing in Burkina Faso after reportedly experiencing technical difficulties. A week later, both the aircraft and its crew remained in detention by Burkinabe authorities, a move that has raised serious diplomatic, legal, and security questions across the region. Nigeria has described the incident as a routine emergency landing involving a friendly neighboring state. Burkina Faso, now a key member of the Alliance of Sahel States, alongside Mali and Niger, has remained largely silent on timelines for release, fueling speculation that the detention is linked to wider political grievances. So, is this detention simply a procedural matter, or is it a calculated act of leverage in a broader struggle over sovereignty, legitimacy, and regional leadership? To discuss the implications of this standoff, I'm joined by Channels TV's Sahel correspondent, Mo Sani Aliyu. Mo, great to see you. Great to see you again today. Why would Burkina Faso risk detaining a Nigerian military aircraft, knowing Nigeria's influence in ECOWAS?
Well, the first thing we need to know is this is not just about Nigeria. It's about rejecting ECOWAS's authority as it currently exists in the region. Burkina Faso and the 2 other AES states, that is Mali and Niger, they see ECOWAS as an extension of Nigerian and Western strategic interests. Detaining this aircraft, therefore, is a way of asserting a new regional reality. That means Nigeria's military and political weight no longer gives it automatic privilege or immunity inside AES territory. That is specifically what is happening, what many analysts I have spoken to recently say. Therefore, Burkina Faso and by context, a larger context, the AES states are daring ECOWAS. And it seems there is like a standoff right now happening between the 2 parties. On the one side, ECOWAS, and on the other, that is the AES states. Okay.
Right, and as you've talked about, analysts saying, some also say Burkina Faso is using the aircraft as leverage. Leverage for what exactly?
Yeah, that's true. Many people I have spoken to in the diplomatic circle say that they think Burkina Faso is using this, the detention of the aircraft, and by extension the detention of those 11 military Air Force officers as leverage for, number 1, recognition, negotiation, and relief. The AES states, once sanctions eased and the regime legitimized, most of them are military regimes, they came into power, their coup d'etats And their regimes, they want these regimes legitimized first by the ECOWAS, which will now give them the ability to, ask for other countries outside the region to see them as legitimate, nations. And ECOWAS, they also want ECOWAS to engage them as equals, not as errant members who have decided to leave the fold. This is why holding a Nigerian military asset, by holding this asset, they're saying, well, if you can pressure us economically, we can also pressure you politically and diplomatically.
And, ECOWAS as a body is one thing. Let's take a look at the wider, global attention that Burkina Faso may be trying to get with this. Is this attention also meant to send a message to France, the US, or even Russia, do you think?
Well, absolutely. It's meant to send two messages. One to France and the countries of the West, that is specifically the United States and any other countries that are from the western part of the world, which says allegedly that your regional proxies, talking about Nigeria, do not control the Sahel anymore. To Russia and other non-Western partners of the Sahel states, the message is simple, that of reliability. These regimes do not fold under pressure from anybody. And therefore, Russia and other countries that want to do business with them will say, okay, these people are serious. We can actually pay attention to them and go into business with them. So this, to the global audience, means that the AES states are sovereign actors. They've got the standing that they want. So they're projecting unity and strength. They want to create a new security order. They just don't want to be junior partners to Nigeria or to the West African states. They want to be recognized as powerful, independent, and people you can rely on, countries you can rely on. Okay.
Right. And what does this crisis reveal about Nigeria's current position in the region?
Well, it shows that Nigeria has power. Really, it does. But Nigeria does not have the consensus to act. Its leadership role is being openly contested and challenged for the first time in decades by the AES states. And these states know that Nigeria cannot act unilaterally. Nigeria needs to get consensus from other regional states for it to act. You remember when Nigeria wanted to actually send troops into neighboring Nigeria after the coup about almost 3 years ago, it needed the consensus from other West African countries, which it did not get, and that was why that action was not taken. Therefore, this detention, as I said initially, shows that Nigeria's influence is being challenged in this region. And a lot of changes are happening fast. It remains to be seen how Nigeria reacts to this, what Nigeria will do to resolve this impasse. And I think the only way out right now is for diplomacy and the Nigeria to keep reaching out to other nations in the region. That is the only way, and it will be a bitter pill for the Nigerian government, I think, to swallow if this continues any longer.
Mo, thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
A research team from Yale University says Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces has been trying to cover up mass killings in the city of El Fasher by burying and burning bodies. According to them, analysis of satellite images by Yale's Humanitarian Research Lab shows the RSF likely disposed of tens of thousands of bodies after seizing El Fasher. The HRL says it has been monitoring the situation in the city for months, and its latest report is part of efforts to understand the extent of the violence suffered by the city's residents. Fresh analysis of satellite imagery found clusters in multiple locations changing in size in the weeks after El Fasher fell to RSF. The HRL adds that this demonstrates continued efforts by the RSF to clean up evidence of massacres. The RSF had drawn international condemnation amid reports of executions and crimes against humanity when its fighters captured the city in October. Although the RSF has not responded to the report, its leader had previously admitted his fighters had committed some violations in the city. Meanwhile, deep concerns persist for many of tens of thousands of people believed to still be trapped in El Fasher in the Darfur region, but UN aid agencies believe they may soon get access to the embattled city. Director of Emergency Preparedness and Response for the World Food Programme says securing access for aid teams remains an urgent priority amid network blackouts that have largely cut off communication with those remaining inside El Fasher. According to Mr. Ross Smith, testimonies from survivors describe the city as a crime scene with mass killings, with burnt bodies and abandoned markets. Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces fighters who have been at war with the Sudanese army since April 2023 overran El Fasher, the regional capital of North Darfur, in October after a 500-day siege.
A little that's known at the moment about the current conditions in El Fasher is indeed beyond horrific. We know that there's anywhere between 70 and 100,000 people potentially remaining trapped inside the city itself. Network blackouts mean that communication is largely cut off and extremely limited what is coming out of the city. We see satellite images in survivor accounts, and they describe the city as a crime scene with the mass killings, with burned bodies, with abandoned markets. We are calling for, and we've continued to call for, unimpeded access into El Fasher to urgently respond to those that remain trapped in the city. I understand from discussions yesterday that we have agreement in principle with the Rapid Support Forces for a set of minimum conditions to enter the city. So we anticipate to be able to do that very soon, to do some initial assessments and reconnaissance. After more than a year and a half under siege, the essentials for survival have been completely obliterated. We have convoys en route to Tawila now, enough for 700,000 people for the next month. These are families that have endured famine for many months on end and mass atrocities and are now living in overcrowded conditions with very limited support. There's not enough shelter for people. Many are staying in very makeshift structures, grass, straw structures, etc. Cholera and disease outbreak is widespread.
In the meantime, the United Nations has held a solemn ceremony in Kadugli for its peacekeepers that were killed in Sudan. The 6 fallen peacekeepers were killed in a drone strike on their base in the central Kordofan region. All the victims were Bangladeshi nationals serving in its UNISFA security force for Abyei. Their remains have been returned to Bangladesh following the ceremony. In a statement, the UN Secretary General condemned the attack, calling on all warring factions to always protect UN personnel and civilians. Abyei is an oil-rich, disputed region between Sudan and South Sudan. The UN mission had been deployed there since 2011, when South Sudan gained its independence from Sudan.
We wish to update you regarding the horrific drone attacks targeting the UN peacekeeping logistics base in Kadugli, South Kordofan, on the 13th of December, which resulted in the killing of 6 Bangladeshi peacekeepers and injury of 9 others while on duty with the UN Interim Security Force for Abyei. This morning, a solemn ceremony was held at the mission headquarters in Abyei to honor the 6 peacekeepers who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Their remains are being escorted back to Bangladesh. The injured peacekeepers who were evacuated from Kadugli to Abyei on the 13th of December are being treated at UNISFA's hospital. The mission's top priority is to ensure that everything possible is done to provide the necessary medical care for the injured. The acting head of mission and force commander, Major General Robert Yao Afram, visited Kadugli today to assess the situation and to engage with the peacekeepers on the ground and other relevant parties. The mission has taken all necessary steps to protect its personnel and facilities by reinforcing protection measures at the Kadugli logistics base to ensure their safety, and is closely coordinating with relevant stakeholders to assess the situation. And you will have seen on Saturday, the Secretary General strongly condemned the horrific drone attacks that targeted the UN peacekeeping logistics base in Kadugli. Yesterday, the Secretary General spoke by phone with the Chief Advisor of Bangladesh, Muhammad Yunus, to express his condolences to the government and people of Bangladesh and to convey his solidarity following this horrific attack. In the statement, the Secretary General underscored that attacks targeting United Nations peacekeepers may constitute war crimes under international law, and he reminds all parties to the conflict of their obligation to protect UN personnel and civilians. Such attacks against peacekeepers are unjustifiable. There will need to be accountability.
Elsewhere now, President Cyril Ramaphosa will not be endorsing the subversion of the law at the Starlink license issue in the country. And this is according to South Africa's presidency spokesperson, Vincent Magwenya, during a media chat. And this is following a decision by the Communications and Digital Technologies Minister, Solly Malatsi, who directed the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa to allow telecom companies to meet requirements through equity equivalent investment programs rather than strict 30% local ownership.
The application for a license coming out of that subsector of the communications and ICT sector is not only from Starlink. So we should just avoid the trap of getting fixated over Starlink. There are 4 or 5 other companies that have expressed interest in providing their services here in South Africa. It's not only Starlink. What the minister is doing is within the law, which we must emphasize, within the law, is to look at what can be done to accelerate those processes, right? As you know, the law is quite clear with respect to the local ownership element for those seeking to be licensed as telecommunications and network services providers. And so that's what the minister is doing. So the president has been aware of that process. However, what the president will not endorse and cannot endorse is the subversion of the law players in this sector. The president has been quite clear that whatever is done must be done within the framework of our laws.
Here in Lagos State, the governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to encouraging innovative individuals and groups capable of scaling up the state's food security system. The governor gave the assurance at the 2025 Lagos Food Festival held at the Muri-Okunla Park, Victoria Island, with the theme, Taste Without Borders. He said that over the past 11 months, the state government, through the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems, has implemented several interventions and empowerment initiatives that have positively impacted agripreneurs and stakeholders across the food value chain.
Residents of Lagos State turn out en masse for the 2025 Lagos Food Festival held at the Muri-Okunla Park, Victoria Island. The colorful event, put together by the State Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems, provides the opportunity for those in agricultural business to showcase their produce and make some income.
It is a celebration of everything Lagos, the culinary culture, the tradition, the entertainment. I mean, everything that makes Lagos Lagos. Lagos is very diverse, it's very multicultural. And so we believe that in celebrating everything that is Lagos, food is the embodiment of that. And we as the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems, we are the curators and the custodians of that. So it's best that we celebrate all of our value food chain actors, and the Lagos Food Festival is the place to do so.
It was also a moment for youths to unwind as they count down to Christmas. Senior government officials were also not left out in the groove, including the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who is here to display his cooking skills as part of measures to celebrate the 2025 Lagos Food Festival. Done with the cooking, he confirms the taste of the meal prepared himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, who's the president? Who's the governor? Governor Tonjano. Governor Tonjano. Also the Tonsaleno. Who's the governor? Oh yeah, Eka Wasoke. Eka Wasoke. For the governor. Governor Tonjano.
Governor Sanwo-Olu says the annual festival is part of government's activities designed to support businesses and also help people relax after a work-full year.
It's an old idea of families coming out, encouraging people in the catering, food space, and for us to be able to also use food to tell the Lagos story. There's a small exhibition there as well. All of our various cuisines, all of our various dishes were also put on display. So it's really for people to see, to understand, to appreciate that we're people that is very fashionistic in all areas. In all areas, you know, food is one in which you can show your art, you can show your skill, and we're doing it, you know, on budget. We're opening up the opportunity for a lot of young, smart people, and businesses are being transformed.
The memory of the event reawakens in the minds of the people the joy of the festive season. And the Lagos State government reaffirms its commitment to spicing up the food festival annually with innovation that will be memorable to all.
Now to Egypt, which has played host to this weekend to 10,000 runners from over 120 countries who gathered at the pyramids of Giza for the 7th edition of the annual half marathon. Organizers say this event is a major tourist attraction, giving all the people running a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The marathon featured multiple race distances, including 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, and the main 21-kilometer half marathon. In a statement, Egypt's Ministry of Youth and Sports stated that the Pyramids Half Marathon has become a staple on the international sporting calendar in Egypt due to the civilization and tourist message it carries, uniting thousands of international participants in a unique archaeological site that's considered one of the world's most significant heritage sites.
This is a major touristic attraction, and we're happy to give all the tourists and all the people running and a once-in-a-lifetime experience to run by the pyramids and witness this amazing touristic attraction in a different perspective.
I'm so happy to be here with my friends. The vibes of the place are amazing. Everyone is cheering you up, everyone is supporting you, so this is an amazing experience. Running through the pyramids is one-in-a-life experience, so I'm so happy to be here.
Great! Really good setup, good vibe, good energy, good people, hospitality, really good.
The festive season is upon us, and in Cairo, children are getting creative with their Christmas artwork. This was at a special event at St. Anthony's Catholic Church in Cairo on Sunday. The young stars get to work along with a special visitor, Santa Claus. Their leader says the drawings were printed on their shirts, which then became the uniform they wore during their festive performance at the event. In the Catholic and other Western churches, Christmas is celebrated on December 25, marking the birth of Jesus Christ. Santa Claus, also known as Father Christmas, delivers gifts to children the same day. And as we end the program, here's our fun fact for today about the continent. Did you know that Zambia had a space program in the 1960s. A Zambian science teacher named Edward Mukuka Nkoloso founded the Zambia National Academy of Science, Space Research and Philosophy with the goal of sending astronauts to the Moon and Mars, hoping to beat the US and the Soviet Union in the space race. The program was a serious, though underfunded and ultimately unsuccessful ambition that gained international attention, though it never launched. The story remains a fascinating footnote, inspiring art and films that explore Africa's early space aspirations and the spirit of the post-colonial era. That's Network Africa today. Thank you for watching. I'm Jokia Rogers.